Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Football Domain Academy podcast. My name is Leonardo Caprelli. I'm the Academy Director here at the Football Domain Academy. So welcome back to a new episode of Legacy. And in today's episode, I have the pleasure and the privilege of spending some time with Hector Cantele, who is the owner and founder of MAGIS Performance Academy, which is based all the way in Memphis, Tennessee. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Hector and thank you for taking the time out to spend some time with me to talk about your soccer history and also your academy.
No, thank you, Leo. Thank you for having me. It's more than a pleasure to be here with you, and we'll also learn more about you as well. So, no, thank you for having me.
No problem. Awesome. So how are things over there with this crazy moment we are going through?
Yeah. So, in terms of the city in general, to be honest, here people are not taking it as seriously as they should.
Yeah.
You know, I'm from Venezuela. In Venezuela, my family's there. There, everybody's in lockdown. You know, it's different. Here, since the beginning, you know, there was some kind of lockdown, but people are not taking it as seriously. You can still see a lot of people in the streets and all that. And now that, you know, cities are starting to open back up, it's literally just like normal. You know, people have their mask and stuff, but, you know, it's still, people are not following the guidelines that I think they should.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens with that in the next weeks or so.
How have you found the transition? Have you done online stuff? Have you stayed on the field? How's it worked?
Yeah, so of course, when that happened, we, you know, it was really quick. We had to transition everything online. And what we did pretty much in our program is basically, you know, players get one session a week, pretty much. And of course, other perks. But part of the program is one session a week. So what we did was we create an online program where the whole week, you know, each day of the week, they will get something online, and all of that will count as the normal one session they had on the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we did. You know, we looked at that as a opportunity more than as something bad, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, now this is our fourth week that we're back on the field, and that online program is still running. You know, now we're using it as something extra for players that want to work at home, want to get some mindset, the development stuff, some video analysis stuff. But yeah, we had to transition online, and so far it worked really well.
Awesome. See, something good always comes out of a crisis, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a true believer that, you know, adversity is it's nothing bad, or bad things, that everything happens for a reason, if that makes sense, you know. And instead of looking at the negatives and complain, you know, just look at it and how can I take advantage of this? How can I, you know, break that barrier that most people think about that barrier, and just look, this is not actually a barrier. This actually made me better, right? And that's not only that, with everything, I truly believe on that, and that's what we did. And actually, we're thriving even more than before the crisis, before the virus. So, I mean, we'll see how it plays out, everything, but, you know, I'm a true believer on that.
That's great to hear, because obviously we are always exposed to so much negativity, but we don't actually find out the good things that are happening. So it's great to hear, and also, obviously, congratulations that you're still growing.
Thank you,
and that your program is very healthy as well. So let's get straight into it. So Hector, what is your background in soccer? So what is your playing background, to be more specific?
Okay, so I'm from Venezuela, born, grew there. My family is still there. I started playing soccer when I was 5 years old. And funny story is, you know, when I was starting to get into more competitive, that was when I was 7. You know, the first 2 years is just pretty much touches, technical stuff, you know, get the feeling of the ball. But then 7, you actually are on a team and all that. I was part of the school that I went to is really well recognized in Venezuela, or in Caracas, the city I'm from. for always having good soccer players. In the history of Venezuela, they always have good. It's like uh, people that go to a school. It's like all about soccer. It's like you're in the classroom, you talk about soccer. You leave, you're with your friends. Talk. It's all about soccer, right? So my first year, I was 7 years old actually. During the tryouts, I was called to do a tryout game with the first team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got confused. I was only 7 years old. I didn't hear right or whatever. I went to the B team's game.
Okay.
And because of that, clearly because of that reason, because I was confused, I was only 7 years old. I didn't make the A team. I didn't make the first team of that. Now that gave me, my dad, he always helped me with his stuff, and I worked hard with him, train and on the weekends and stuff like that. And after 1 year, I was able to make the A team, the first team there. We had an amazing team, really good players. I was part of the school until I was 15 years old. In that process, we had the opportunity to play international tournaments. We play in Valencia Cup in Spain. We play in the Gotia Cup in Sweden. I had the opportunity to play for an academy that selected players from different areas of Caracas, and we play in La Coruña in Spain as well.
Wow.
We also play tournaments within Venezuela. We actually went and played a tournament in the Amazons in Venezuela,
Wow.
in the countryside of Venezuela, also in another areas in Mérida near Colombia. And then, when I was 15 years old, that's the age where I think players start realizing, okay, do I want to do this for sure? Do I want to commit to play soccer, or I just want to keep playing soccer for fun, right? Stay in my school, think about something else.
Mm-hmm.
Because my friends were starting, to not taking as seriously as I wanted to. So after, hearing a lot of advices from coaches, my coach there in my school, we decided to, go to Caracas FC. Caracas FC is probably the most recognized, the team with more titles in Venezuela.
Big club.
Yes. So what I did, I went to the trial process. That was to get into the U16 club, the U16 team. And after, like 3-4 months, it was a long process. A lot of people went to the trial, like 300 people. I remember, like 3 people made it. Mm-hmm. 3 to 4 people made it. I was part of that group. Wow. And I was part of Caracas FC U16. And after 1 year, I had a really, really good first year. We had an amazing team too, like a bunch of good players that a lot of them are playing in the MLS, in Europe. Like, we had an amazing team. After that 1 year, I was able to get called to the preseason with the first team, because in Venezuela they have like a rule for young players that in the tournament, in the national tournament, you have to have like a young player in the field and one young player in the bench. Mm-hmm. And also like in the cup, like the FA Cup, for example, but the Venezuelan Cup, you have to have even a younger one in the field and even youngest one in the bench. So because of that rule, which I think is awesome, that gives opportunity to young players to be in that environment, the first team, and trying to earn a spot. So I was able to be there. I was blessed to have the opportunity, with 16 years old, do a preseason. I was training with the first team, everything. Mm-hmm. And then after the preseason, I was able to, I was playing with the U18s, but, getting called up with the first team. I was able to make my debut for the Venezuelan Cup. I didn't make it for like the national tournament, but for the Venezuelan Cup. Wow. And after that process, I was able to, just keep being in that environment. Then, the next season came. And in that process, from the next season to getting into the U20s of the Caracas FC, I got called up to go to the training camps for the U17 national team for Venezuela. Wow. Now, those training camps were for the World Cup, because Venezuela, and you probably know this too, Venezuela hasn't always been recognized as, like Argentina or like a Brazil in South America. Now we're getting to the point that more people are respecting us, but it was weird to see Venezuela, qualifying to World Cups or stuff like that.
Mm.
So when I was still in Caracas FC, the U17 that they went to a South American tournament, they earned a spot to play the World Cup. I didn't go there to the South American tournament, but thanks to them making that, I got called up to be in the training camps for the World Cup. So now I'm in that scenario with amazing players.
Yeah.
Like 6 of them were the same guys that played with me at Caracas FC in the U16 team. But I had to earn a spot because I didn't go to the South American tournament. So some guys had that advantage, right? So I was part of that process. That process lasted like 3 to 4 months, I think. We had like training camps, like a week training camp, then like 3 days off, then back to your team, then another 2 weeks training camp. And it was on and on like that. Well, in that process, we went to, play international tournaments. We went to Colombia. We went to, well, that was the only international experience that we had during training camps. And well, I was lucky and I was, blessed enough to be in that final list to be and represent Venezuela in the World Cup. They took, I believe it was 23 or 24 players. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, that was like probably my biggest moment, I would say, during my soccer career, like being able to represent my country in a World Cup, especially coming from Venezuela. That was like amazing,
Yeah.
And then, I went through that process, amazing experience. We didn't qualify to the next round, but, as experience, I think it was just unbelievable. And well, then I stayed playing for the U20s of Caracas FC, and of course, my family, they're both doctors, my parents, so they've always been like a really education-minded people, which I don't blame them. I believe like the world has changed, but where they come from, that's where they listen to, right? So they always, it's not like they make me study because they never done anything like that, but they always talk to me about the importance of studying and keep building, education and stuff like that. And also asking coaches that have helped me through the process, they were also telling me, you should get an education as well. So because of that, I was able to receive a full scholarship to play D1 soccer here in the US.
Yeah.
And I came to Memphis. Funny story, I didn't know anything about the process, college. I didn't know anything about the city. I'd never been here, that was 2014. But, through a connection, we were able to, make that happen and came here. And well, I was part of the University of Memphis soccer team for 4 years. I was able to graduate a semester earlier. And then, well, that was pretty much my story, like playing soccer. I tried to keep going after finishing college. Yeah. But, injuries were were part of that. I was mentally drained completely for different experiences that happened along the way here in college. And I just thought, I needed like a break. I needed to be away a little bit of the game. And I saw the opportunity of one-on-one training in this city and the potential that it had. And yeah, I started doing it and it's been good so far.
Oh, Hector, that's an incredible story.
Yeah. Try to.
Now, my question is, behind every successful story, because now not everyone has the privilege to represent their country. And you could say at the time maybe Venezuela wasn't as big soccer wise, but that's still a massive achievement because I'm sure it's a country of a lot of million of people. Yeah. But behind every successful story, there's always someone that gave you a push, because that sounds like you traveling to different places. Sounds like a big commitment. Now, who was the person behind all of that, pushing you for the next level?
Wow, I mean, my family. I'm grateful for my family. It's like I try to say that every day, or just think about it every day that I wake up, and just my family is I can brag about them every single day if I can. I'm so grateful for them. They always support me, always in their own way in certain scenarios, but I know that at the end of the day, they always been there for me. You know, I mean, my parents, my sister. I mean, there was a game, for example, when I was part uh, of the first team, and you know, I was called up to be in the roster of the Venezuelan Cup game, and this game was in Bolivar, that's the state, but that's like a 12-hour drive, something like that. So of course we flew there, and my parents, you know, they're doctors, they have busy schedule and all that. They literally just drove there, 12 hours.
Oh, wow.
They didn't even stay in a hotel, just drove 12 hours. I didn't play the game. I didn't play it, and they drove back 12 hours and worked the next day.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So that just shows, and that's just one thing. I just because one thing that I just thought about, but that throughout my whole life, they've always been there for me, like everything. You know, supporting me. Maybe some things that they don't think is the right thing, they give me their advice. So I mean, they've always been there, like clearly, always. So if there's, I mean, not only them, there's a lot of people. I mean, I cannot tell you one person, but of course, my family, I will say, they've always, you know, been there and helping me and making sure, you know, that I get their support.
That's awesome. And fair play to your parents as well, because I know there's a lot of kids out there that don't have that support from their parents. Not all parents are that dedicated and committed to their child. So that's a fantastic story. And make sure you look after your parents as well.
Yeah, no, and look, it's not only me, with my sisters, the same thing, right? So awesome. they just understand, like, they just support us. Yeah. So I mean,
that's cool.
100%, you know, grateful for that. So
love it. So how did you get into coaching then? What was the decision to go to start coaching?
So to be honest, I mean, I've never been interested in coaching a team. Okay. And I'm still not interested. I mean, I don't think that's like, it's not like, okay, I want to coach. Mm-hmm. So the way I, you know, got into this is because I kind of like saw an opportunity, right? Because as a University of Memphis soccer player, you know, sometimes our coach will be like, hey, I have, you know, some parent do some sessions, you want to earn some money. So, okay, yeah. And I started noticing that nobody in this city, in Memphis, did that in a serious way, you know, with a structure, like an actual business of like personal training or like mentorship program, and all that. So if you ask me why, I think that's the reason why. I just saw an opportunity, and I saw an opportunity of something that I like, that I love, and with a lot of potential. Yeah. So I think that's the reason. And also when I started doing it, you know, it's this feeling of helping others, you know, that thing that is, I cannot describe it. It's just, it feels good when you're just helping a kid, because then I look at it, when you're helping a kid, I'm looking at like I'm helping the future of the world, if that makes sense, because the kids are just the future of the world. So if I can create an impact, I can make this kid a better person, more than a better player. Yeah. That means that I'm making the world better in that sense, right? So it's a lot of different things, you know, the opportunity, but then when I started doing it, it feels good when you see that kid listens to you, that he wants to get better, that he listens to your advice, that he gets better. But yeah.
Like it. Love it. Now, how was the transition like from Venezuela to the United States? How did you find that?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I thought it was going to be worse. When I first got here, again, I'd never been to Memphis. I've been to the US multiple times though before, but never Memphis. I thought it was going to be worse. I felt like when I got here, I felt like I was home in some case scenario, but not completely, because it's really different. But I don't know, the environment, the team, of course, that helps when you instead of just arriving yourself to a city, you know, you're part of a team. Yeah. My freshman year, our team was awesome. Like the guys that we got there, I mean, it was also really international. We had people from around the world too. So I think that transition was not that hard. Now, a lot of things, are different. Let's start with the weather for sure. That's one thing that I don't like about here, the weather, and of course the people and all that. But overall, I think the transition was not a hard thing for me.
Wow. Now, have you ever coached in Venezuela?
No.
No.
No, I've never.
No.
Never coached in Venezuela.
Okay. Awesome. So, what qualities do you look for as a coach in a player that you work with?
Okay, so I would say because our program is really like we have a lot of things that for a player to take on. I'll say the number one thing I will look for now it's a player that is good technical with the ball. I think that's a big thing for us is especially because we work with players for a 6-month or 12-month range or even more.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that first of all that we are gonna enjoy training that player. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. So a player that is really good technically, and of course, just next to it, mindset is a huge thing. Someone that listens, someone that if you're gonna tell that player something about a homework that he has to do, or that he listens. He listens and that he does it. Because again, the program is a lot of things. It's not the training and that's it. So we want to make sure it's someone that is accountable for the things that he needs to be doing, and of course, work ethic. You know what I mean? Work ethic, responsible, and all that stuff. But yeah, I will say those things: good player, technically, good technique, player that wants to get better, player that has goals, that wants to get better, and that listens and works hard.
Awesome. When you were playing, what would you say your strengths was as a player?
As a player, I would say my strength. Well, I thought I was fast until I came to the US. I thought I was fast, man, and then came here, and here everything is athleticism, everything is fast, everyone is strong, and I was like, well, I'm not that fast, but I would say I was really good. Like I play as a forward. I was really good movement wise and understanding. I was smart, if that makes sense. Also technically, as a forward, I was good technically with the ball. I'll say those were my strengths. I had good technique and my thought process was good. I also tried to. I was the type of player that if I was in a 1v1 situation, I have a player next to me that he can score, has more chances than me scoring, I'll use passing the ball. I was a team player too. I was not, I have two players in front of me, just gonna take them on, because also that was not my strength. I was never like a Neymar kind of thing, you know what I mean, or anything like that. I just knew that, okay, I'll maybe take one on and pass it. Another guy comes to me, I pass it to you, you scored. And that was fine. Sometimes I overdo that. Sometimes maybe I had that issue that people will tell me, no, you go. But I mean, it worked. I was a team player, and I think that's a good definition. Like my style. I had goals. I scored goals. I had assists too. But yeah.
Awesome. Now, going back to your time in Venezuela, you mentioned that you played for the national team. Now, what apart from which you've mentioned your parents helping you and being very dedicated, what on a personal level, for any player watching this and wants to aspire for something similar to maybe represent their country or just play at a higher level, what are the things that helped you to get to that level on a personal level?
On a personal level, well, on a personal level, I will say, work ethic, it's huge. Also being focused on your goals and what you want, and because there's a lot of distractions when you're going through that process, that age, and you're just completely focused on what you want,
Mhm.
and you work hard for it, it's gonna come to you. I'm a true believer on that. I think if I had to give an advice for somebody that wants to get to that level, it's the work ethic. Because if you're not good enough technically, if you have a good work ethic, you'll become good technically. If you're struggling with anything, whatever, if your fitness is not good, if you're a good work ethic, you'll get fit, you get your fitness in, and you'll become better.
Yeah.
So work ethic and focus, determination,
Mhm.
and I think that's, and look, don't think small of yourself.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I
Love
will say. Like, I was the only player, and I don't say this to brag or anything, but it's the truth. I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I strongly believe I was the only player there that I didn't have an agent. And I participated there, and I was just because of my work ethic, and also another thing that helped me a lot, and I give good advice, is take care of details.
it.
I'm huge into that. So, if you're in the training session, be the first one getting there.
Yeah.
Be the last one leaving. When everybody's stretching, stretch, but do some abs, or do some extra work, stay a little bit long. Or when you're in your team meal, for example, be the first one getting downstairs, or stuff like that. Because I just think that because I did those things,
Yeah.
and it
Love
helped me. Like, whenever the coach was talking, or giving the instructions of the exercise, we were all around, and I was there in front of him, the first one, looking at his eyes. So little details that might not think is important, but
Yeah.
it is important. And I'm sure, like, to me, it helped me.
Mm.
And all that comes down to work ethic, determination, and
Yeah.
focus.
Love that. That's really, really good advice. Um, and I never really understood that attention to detail until I started coaching and I had to deal with players. Because as a
Yeah.
player, like, you don't think it's important because you don't look at it from a coaching perspective. But once you get in the coaching position and you have to deal with a group of players, that
Yeah.
one player that is the first one there, that one player that's always ready to learn, that one player that is a team person, you are more likely to pay more attention to him.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you notice,
Yeah.
you notice it. Like,
Mm.
and it all comes down to the player, to the willingness to become better. Always be better. That should be your goal. How can I be better each day? How can I, or have the mindset of, I need to be the one that does the most here. I need to be the one that works the hardest. And it all comes down to a mental game that you have work in your own, like, I am, like, I need to better. So yeah, 100%. I truly believe that. And now that I'm coaching, I notice, and I always tell them, like, details. Like, we notice, coaches, we notice when you're working hard, or when you really want something, like, you can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Now, going back to the coaching aspect of it. Now, what would you say is more important for a player? And I want you to pick one. You can't say both.
Okay.
But then you can then say both.
Okay.
What is more important to you? Is it the mindset or the technical ability?
Well, it's hard to pick one.
If you had to
Because,
pick one.
yeah, because I believe, if you have to pick one, I'll have to go with the mindset. Because if you have a good mindset, and you work hard, you start positive,
Mm.
you do all these things, no matter what, you're gonna be good
Yeah.
technical player. Like, if you're bad with your touches, I mean, or whatever that you're struggling with, but you have a good mindset,
Yeah.
you're gonna become better. I mean, that's just the way it is. And now, of course, now that I completely give you the answer with both, you know, you cannot forget the technical ability, because at the end of the day, to play soccer in a good level, you have to have a good technique.
Mm.
But definitely, I think, like, with mindset, you can achieve both. You know what I mean? You can have a good technique.
Yeah. Now, my way of seeing it is, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, because you've obviously played at a higher level than I have. But I think at the grassroots, the technical side of the game is fundamental, is very important. But as you get higher, I do believe that the mental side becomes very important because it becomes more competitive. There's more pressure. Obviously, the competition is more. You're competing with so many players for so many small places. Would you agree with that?
100%. I think that's completely true. You know, because when looking at it from the coaching standpoint, when you're working with a young player, let's say 8 years old, you know, it's not it's not like it's not important, but it's more important just to, you know, that player get the feeling of the ball, the touches, all that kind of stuff. Now, you know, they get that when you're older. Yeah, definitely, I agree with you. The mindset is more important. I mean, supposedly that you already got that base, right, of technique and stuff like that.
Correct. Yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Perfect. Now, you touched on work ethic a little bit. Now, how important is work ethic for a soccer player?
I mean, I believe work ethic, it's extremely important. You know, as a soccer player, you're pretty much, if you're playing at highest level, you want to get there, you train every day. It's kind of like your lifestyle. That is what you do. But work ethic is everything. If you have a good work ethic, you'll achieve more things. You'll get better. If you don't have a strong work ethic, you know, maybe somebody else is gonna take your spot or something like that. It was somebody that is working harder than you. Now, let's be honest, there's these crazy scenarios of just amazing players that they are just amazing and they don't have a work ethic, but they're just amazing. You know what I mean? And they just good, like Ronaldinho, for example. You know what I mean? Something like that. That those guys is just unbelievable. But that doesn't take the fact that work ethic is important, and I believe that because that was me as a player, and you know, I truly believe like work ethic goes above everything.
Love it. Now, what would be your definition of work ethic? If there is a kid watching this and has no idea what work ethic means.
Work ethic, I would say, is doing the things that you have to do even when you don't feel like you have to do them. That's work ethic. You know, having to wake up early and do your runs or do your exercises. You don't feel like it, you don't want to do it, but you have to do it. And so I think that's work ethic, and that's not even related to soccer. There's a lot of things that can relate to that. You know, so many times we know we have to do something, we don't feel like doing it, but that's when, okay, I just gotta do it. So I think that would be the definition to me for work ethic.
That's awesome. Now, what was the difference you started to see with for example, you said that you had a really strong work ethic, and compared to someone maybe on the team that wasn't as committed, didn't have that work ethic, what were the differences?
In what do you mean? Like,
so in the sense of, did you get more playing time? Did you get more opportunities? Were you treated differently to him because you were always the first one there, always the last one to leave? In that sense.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting more playing time, and actually, you know, I was a captain of the teams. All the teams that I play for, I've been a captain. You know, the coaches, whenever they do a talk, they put just an example. And more than that, I mean, the fact is like, and what I might want to make clear is that players shouldn't be doing it because of that. They just should be doing it because the feeling of being better, of trying to be better each day.
Love it.
Right. So, but yeah, I mean, of course, you know, that was why I made the U16 team of Caracas FC in the tryouts, because I tried to get there earlier before anybody else. I tried to leave late. I would do abs whenever we were stretching, and little things.
Mhm.
But definitely, I mean, that created an impact not only in that team but for my life. I learned doing that helps, and no matter what you do.
Like it. Now, give us an example of where work ethic, that work ethic that you developed as an athlete, you've taken now into other parts of your life. What example can you give us?
Okay, well, I can tell you, there's a lot, but magis, right? The business side. Being able, for example, each Sunday, what I do, I sit down, I schedule my week,
Yeah.
and I literally sit down and I know I plan what I'm gonna do Monday, what I'm gonna do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Do I hate it? Sometimes I hate it because it's a Sunday, right? But I'm also like, I hate I hate more like waking up on Monday and not knowing what I'm gonna do
Mm.
and just figuring out that day. So I think that's related to, I don't want to do it, but I just know that it's gonna be better for me doing this. So I have to do it. So for example, with an online program, I schedule, we do it everything on a private Facebook group.
Mhm.
And on Sunday, I schedule all the posts for each day for the next week. Right. So yesterday I sat down and everything is automatic, what's coming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Right. I hate it, but just gotta do it. If you wanna be different than all other people and be better, right? So I'll say that's an example.
Yeah, that's an awesome example. And the reason I ask you, because a lot of the time, many kids, they don't think that what you learn in sport can be transferred into real life. So even though you might not play at a really high level, but there's a lot of skills that you develop within sport that you can then take into maybe, if you become the
Of course,
CEO of a company.
of course. I mean, I sports is the best teacher.
Yeah.
I mean, like soccer to me has been the best teacher. For good moments, for bad moments especially. I went through a lot of. I mean, yeah, I played national team, all those things, but I also went through bad moments. I mean, moments that I was doubting myself, moments like my confidence was low, injuries and stuff, and
Mm.
that just helped me build this character of, okay, I can pass this, I can do better. So I'm 100% like sports, soccer. Like I owe everything to soccer. Like because I believe, yeah, education is important and people have to educate, but experiences is where you learn the most and when you become better at. So look, yeah, sports, soccer, I mean, you can apply that with everything, anything that you do in your life.
That's it. Now, my next question is something I like talking about to my athletes. But what is self-discipline for an athlete? What
Okay,
is your
so
definition of self-discipline?
self-discipline, it's, doing things without doing things that you have to do without anybody telling you that you have to do them,
Love it. Yeah.
right? I mean, it's just like that. It's similar to the my definition of work ethic, but the difference is that you don't need anybody to tell you, hey, do this
Mm.
or make sure you do that. No, you do it on your own. You do it the other way. You let your coach know that you did it before he even tell you about it, right? So things like that. So yeah, that's my definition of self-discipline: making sure you do things without anybody telling you that you need to do that.
What's one disciplined thing you used to do when you were younger?
As a player,
As a as a player, as a person.
yeah. So for example, the example of playing soccer when I didn't make the 18 when I was young.
Mhm.
At the beginning, of course, my dad was like, okay, let's go train every weekend, whatever. But most of the weekends, I was the one going in at 7 a.m., waking up my dad and be like, hey, let's go train, right? And, that's self-discipline, right? That wanting to become better and just going and doing it.
Yeah. Would you say now this is a different scenario? So say you didn't make it to the national team. and say you could say failed, what would you have done then? Would you have been a person that would have given up, or would you have carried on, do you think, if you're analyzing it now?
I think I would have kept going,
Keep going.
because again, first of all, I now with the experiences that I've been through,
Mm.
I think there's no thing as failure. To be honest, that's the first thing. I think like everything that happens for a reason, and one door closes is because a bigger and better door is gonna open for you.
Yeah.
It's hard to understand at the moment. You don't look at it like that,
Mhm.
but I'm a truly believer that's just how life works. That's the first thing. And second, yeah, I'm certain I would have kept going, because again, I was not called to be in the Venezuelan national team for the South American tournament,
Yeah.
but I just look at it. All right, and look, there were like 5 or 6 guys that went to that South American tournament that playing the same team as me.
Mhm.
So it was just not the time.
Yeah.
It was not the timing. That's another thing I believe. Everything has a time, and if it didn't happen, it's because well, maybe it's not my time,
Yeah.
and that doesn't mean that the time's gonna come. I'm certain,
Mhm.
but that was not the right time.
Yeah.
I looked at it, that experience. I looked at it that way, and look, I ended up playing in a better competition. You know what I mean? So I would say that just keep going, and understand that everything happens for a reason. That helps you get to the point of there's no failure, right? There's just more things are going to open up for you.
That's awesome. Now, you just mentioned you had a few teammates that were in the national team when you didn't make it. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I was never called for like the training camps for them to prepare for the South American
Mm.
tournament. But I had, let's see, Ronald, Omar, like 4 or 5 guys that went there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how hard, or maybe it wasn't hard, but was it difficult to sort of share dressing room with someone that maybe succeeded and you wasn't accepted into it? Or did you guys just carry on normal?
No, normal. I
Yeah.
mean, first of all, they are amazing people,
Yeah.
and I mean, I've never been like jealous or whatever. Oh, you're there, and I should be there, and you should be here. No, no. I mean, I just looked at it as, okay, they're there. I'm just here. I'm just gonna keep working, and I look at it now, and it was like really good, because of that allowed me to be like the guy in the team, right, in the club, because they left many times with the camps. They will be like 2 weeks out, then like 3 days in Caracas, and leave again. So they didn't play much games with our club.
Yeah.
So that allowed me to have more, be more present in the team. I was a captain. I played. I was always playing. So that actually helped me, and actually I believe that was probably uh, I don't know if that was probably my best year. The best year that I had playing for Caracas FC was that year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's whatever they're doing their thing, and it's fine. Well, then what are they doing that I can do to be there, right? Instead of I'm doing better than them. No, so that's not the way it should be.
I like it. Now, the reason I asked you is because I know there's a lot of kids that I've worked with. Like, for example, they're at my academy, but maybe two have got into the school team.
Okay.
One kid hasn't. Now, I know kids, they compare themselves a lot. They're constantly comparing themselves. What's he doing? Or why is he doing this? Why am I not doing that? Instead of actually looking at themselves and saying, why didn't I do it? Or why am I not in the team? How can I improve? Like you just said. So what I'm trying to touch in is that I think if you keep comparing yourself about what you haven't got, then I think that's where you stand still. You never advance. But instead of looking at your teammate, instead of like in jealousy, as you said, jealousy or sort of hate because he got there, I haven't. You should maybe learn from them. Learn from them. Ask questions like, "What did you do that I'm not doing?" Ask for feedback. And a lot of the times, I know a lot of kids don't do that, and sometimes they become really upset because it's like a mental game going on in their head. There's someone talking to them, telling them they're not good enough. They're not
Yeah,
good enough. They're not good enough. I don't know. Would you agree with that?
I agree. I mean, because you know you have to take care a lot of the energy that you
100%. Yeah.
when you are positive, when you're happy, when you just perform better. You're just killing it. You're just when you are in the other side, when you're negative, when you complain, when you jealous and understand, you know, injuries come, you don't play, your confidence. And look, I'm telling you this because I've been in both sides. You know, when I was my time in Caracas FC, you know, I was in the side of positive, you know, and I think my coach, I owe that coach a lot because he helped me get that mindset of, you know, I'm the guy. And I was happy and I killed it. But then here in Memphis, you know, my first year I felt like that too. But then things changed, a lot of things, you know, coaching and players, and it was hard for me to look in the way of okay, me, and I was looking at too much of others and not understanding why a lot of things, and you know, I was negative, and it affected me a lot. You know, my confidence, I was not the same player. You know, my touches, it was not good. And it's not like I was a bad player. It's just my confidence. It's crazy, like how confidence, how important it is when you step in that field and you're confident. That and I'm talking about confidence because that happened because of my mental state. So 100%, like, and I understand it because I went through that. And it's like you have to, you know, don't complain. As hard as it might seem, because it's not easy. It's not. I understand now. It's not easy. You know, sometimes, and you have to try to just don't listen, do your thing, and keep going, stay positive, because it affects everything. Yeah,
100%. And I can relate to that, especially when I started the academy, my own business. It was, you had what some people telling you, oh, this won't work, that won't work, or too many people are doing it. And then you have another side telling you, yeah, it's a fantastic idea, do it. So you're like, it's a game in your head, and it's energy, like you said, you're spot on. It's energy that you have to conserve, that can be used for something more positive.
yeah, and I mean, and that's why that leads to another topic, which is gratitude, right? If you're feeling gratitude for things, even when you're not performing well or like things are not going your way, but you avoid the negative stuff and you just are grateful for the things you've accomplished and stuff, that change your mental state and things get better. So yeah, same as you. When I started the academy, it was the same. People, what are you doing? Blah, academy, are you sure? Yeah, yeah. And now they want to work. They want to come to Memphis and work for me. Hey, can I help you? So, and look, that's life. That's life. Really, that's life. So, yeah.
Love it. And I do like, what you mentioned, the gratitude is like 100% agree with you. Like something I don't do enough, but sometimes I do is I grab a notebook and I just write down all the good things that happen. So even if it's, I made myself a tea, I write it down. I took a walk, write it down. Someone talked to me, wrote it down. Someone called me, someone texted me. And then you look at it and you go, do you know what? Like, wow, there's a lot of things good that have happened to me. And that makes me feel good.
Yeah, no, definitely. I, you know, personally, something that I've been doing for a year and a half. I meditate as soon as I wake up. I 10 minutes. We call it priming. I, you know, think about 3 things I'm grateful for. and then I think about 3 things that I wanted to happen in my life, and it's just 10 minutes. But I just, that the 3 things that I'm grateful for, it could be, I'm grateful that I have a chair to sit. I'm grateful for my covers, and as stupid it might sound, you're starting feeling grateful for those small things. And when you truly feel it, when bad things happen to you, you're like, oh, okay, but I still have a bed I can sleep with, so
Look at it a different way.
you don't allow that negative stuff, which is so crucial. I mean, it's so important.
Yeah. Like it. Now, I know you touched on it briefly, but what is failure to you?
Okay, failure, I see it as a learning opportunity. I think failure is there's not such thing as, I failed, I don't like, I didn't accomplish this. It's a learning opportunity, because everybody fails. You know what I mean? And I also look at it as, the more fails I have, the more successful I will be. You know what I mean? I think that's also super important, right? And instead of, whenever you want to do something, instead of waiting for the right moment to do it, just jump in and just do it. And if you fail, well, you learn that that way is not the right way. There, you try another way. So to me, that's the definition of failure. Just a learning opportunity. See?
Love it. Like it. Now, how important is training on your own?
I mean, it's crucial. I mean, talking from personal experience, I'm sure I became the player that I came because of the trainings that I did with my dad, on my own, and then on my house, just kicking the ball and just kicking the ball, just playing. That's why I think I became like a technical player, because of, what I did on my own. So I'm 100% believer in that. If you want to become a top player, if you want to become an elite player, if you want to do all these things, you want to play in college, whatever it may be, you have to train on your own. Especially, and I do believe, especially when you're young, super important, when that is age between, 7 years old all the way to 14, 15 years old, just touch the ball as much as possible. Because I think, that's what separates you from other people eventually.
Love it. Cool. Now, as we begin to wrap up, I want to just finish on this one last question. So, if you could say one thing to a kid watching this that wants to aspire to play at maybe the professional level, or just a higher level than they're currently at, what is the one thing you would say to them?
I will say, there's a lot of things I will say, but if I have to pick one, I would think it would be, keep going. I think that phrase is keep going. And many reasons why. And I think keep going because maybe you're trying and, something doesn't happen to you. Again, like I said, it's just that door is not the right door for you. You have another door coming for you, and it's probably the same outcome. You will still get to professional, but maybe it's not this path, maybe it's this path, right? So I will say, keep going no matter what. Keep going. Stay believing in your dream. And many people will tell you that you should do this thing, you should do other thing, blah blah. That a lot of 50% of soccer players get injured, or they don't finish, or they ended up without school. A lot of people are gonna tell you things, but if that's your dream, keep going. Like, you only have one life, really, so just keep going. I mean, you don't lose anything.
Love that. That's awesome. So, Hector, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your advice, and your experiences with us. For anyone that wants to follow you and your academy, wants to get in contact with you, I don't know, maybe they have some questions they'd like to ask you. What are you on any social media platforms?
Yes. We are on Instagram and Facebook. You can find us at MAGIS Performance, at MAGIS Performance. And well, if you want to know more about everything, we have our website too. It's magisperformance.com. Awesome. And well, Leo, thank you so much for having me I had a great time talking to you, learning more about you as well. So thank you, man.
No problem.
Anything that you may need, reach out. Anything, if you want to do this again, whatever it may be, I'm here.
Awesome. Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll add all your social media links. I'll add it to the bottom of the video.
Cool.
Okay.
Awesome. Appreciate
All right,
you, man.
Hector, it's been a pleasure. All the best, and
Thank
hope
you.
to have you back on the show in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Same to you, Leo. Have a great day.
See you later.